Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with Alpha Flight Issue 1 from the Fall of X event. Now, I had no idea that there was a new Alpha Flight series out. There's a guy that I follow on TikTok, his name is Juan Reed Comics. Make sure to go check him out. But I saw him do a quick review on there and I went, holy crap, I gotta get my hands on this. Because you get to see a majority of the original Alpha Flight members together. And that is what got me excited. And the fact that the way it opens, it gets you amped because you know something big is about to happen. So we see Snowbird, she goes, we'll be turning our backs on people who've trusted us, who've put our faith in us. I know. And then Shaman, while I agree with Snowbird, I think this is the right call. These people need our help to keep them safe. We've been forced to choose a side in this fight, and I will not lose sleep over the decisions we've made. And then Puck, of course, neither will I. This is the mess they've made. Are some folks going to be mad at us? Hell yes. Livid even. They'll curse us out. But when has that ever stopped us from doing the right thing? And then so we see Alpha Flight rolling out, and it's just awesome. And what you come to find out is the reason that they were put back together is because of Orcus basically kind of going to war with the mutants or vice versa. I haven't read the Hellfire Gala yet, and I'm on the fence about it. I've had a couple of friends recommend it to me, and I hate this Krakoa era X-Men. I just do not want to give money to it. So anyway, at this point, the world has had enough of Krakoa. Sounds familiar. Anyway, so this lady, she's the new director of Alpha Flight, what's her name? Erica Durion? I think it's French, I think. But anyway, she's talking about how she's bringing back Alpha Flight to stop the mutant menace. Canada has essentially outlawed all mutants at this point, closing the borders. But there are people that are not, like the majority of Canada's with them. But then there's those who are not too happy, like this gentleman who throws, I think this is coffee at Guardian, and he goes, North Star and Aurora were your teammates, and you've turned on them and the rest of mutant kind. You're nothing more than government stooges, and you've got the nerve to go up there on stage and talk about protecting the innocent. Security goes to knock him down, and what I like about Mac is when you first meet him back in, what was it, like X-Men 112-ish? Somewhere around there. I know I've done a review on the figure, but I can't remember. Anyway, he comes off as an asshole. But as you go along and continue to read Alpha Flight through the Uncanny X-Men all the way into the solo John Byrne series from the 80s, it's because Mac has to make the hard choices. He can't always give in to how he's feeling. Like, I'm pretty sure Mac wants to smack this dude in the face for having piping hot coffee thrown in his face. But he says, let him go. The man has a right to speak his mind, even if we don't agree. He threw hot liquid at you. That's assault under the I'm not pressing charges. Emotions are high. There's no reason to escalate them. Let him go. And that's why once I got old enough to understand, because when I was a kid and I first read about Alpha Flight, I was like, man, Guardian or Vindicator? Ugh. I hate when I draw a blank. But anyway, I hated him. Oh, did I hate him as a kid? But it wasn't until I got older, a little more wiser to understand, just like with Cyclops and any other major leader of a team, they have to come off kind of dickish because they have to keep their emotions in check. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about who made this book. This is Ed Brisson writing. This is Scott Godlewski, artist Mac Milla doing the colors, VC's Travis Lanham doing the lettering. There's everyone else working on the book, and Alpha Flight was created by John Byrne, if my brain is correct. Anyway, now you are introduced to a character named Roger Box Jr. So if y'all remember from the original Alpha Flight, Box, this was his son after he passed away. But you can see that he has cybernetic legs and is continuing his father's work. Now, I'm a little nervous about this dude because he's working like full on with Department H, and they're introducing Sentinels. like that's ever been a good thing. You know, let's go back to Days of Future Past. Let's go back to New X-Men 114 and what happened with Genosha, stuff like that. But what Box here is saying is they can't go rogue. Even Puck says, you know, this seems a little authoritarian, sending in robots to do our job. It's cold, using AI. It hasn't always gone great. But what Box says is he's created a helmet that if he senses any of the AI's programming going haywire, he can take it over. So I'm kind of wondering, because he seems like legitimate, you know, he wants to help, and we'll get into that in a second. But anytime we come with helmets that are going to control anything or AI, it always becomes such a cluster fudge, and we all know this. But it would just be nice, because it's cool to see a legacy come in to join Alpha Flight after the passing of his father. And that's what we get here. Now, real quick before we get into this point, what I appreciate about this issue is I feel like Ed Brisson has really come a long way since I first read him. Now, he's not ever been a horrible writer, don't get me wrong. But like when I was reading some of his early stuff, like Old Man Logan, or during the early Krakoan era, his New Mutants, it was boring. Like, there was good action, but I just felt like things were stretched too far, like things took too long, and I eventually just each book that he was on, I dipped out. But here I feel like years later, he's finally starting to tighten it. Things feel like they've flow a little bit more smoothly. Now here, what I'm talking about is if you go back and you read some of the other current Krakoan books and they do these stupid read-ups, it's like reading a damn essay. Here it feels like a newspaper article talking about his original father, his father, Roger Box Sr., who was Box, and then, of course, him, and how he wants to help the disabled community with his knowledge and how he wanted to follow in his father's footstep after gaining the same disability that his dad had, and also wants to serve Canada and joined Alpha Flight. Now, one thing, can anybody help me out here? I looked on Marvel's Wicca. I couldn't figure this out. Because usually if you look at the book rundown, it'll at least kind of tell you who the characters are if you're not sure. This is Orcus. They, in America, hunting down mutants as well. And so this lady, she comes in and she's looking for Dr. Lucas Peterson. There's not a name here. Does anybody know who this character is? Because the way that she acts, right off the top, I thought this was Val Cooper. But when I looked at the Marvel Wiki, nowhere is Val Cooper credited, which I would never see Val being that much of an ass anyway. I mean, she's stern, but she's fair if you go back and read Peter David's X Factor. So I could not see her working for Orcus. You come to find out that this character is a mutant, and a long-time mutant that was, I think, started out as a hero and then became a villain against Alpha Flight, because he was part of Beta Flight, Gamma Flight. Yeah, back in the day, there used to be different levels till you reached the Alpha Flight level. Now, his real name's somewhere in here. No idea where it's at. You guys are going to have to read it for yourself, because I can't remember, and I'm not going to sit there and kill myself. We come back to Canada. They're chasing a mutant, and the fight ensues. Here we are against Aurora and Northstar, and then out of nowhere, here comes Daken. And he goes, I have your short stuff. And Puck's like, Daken, it's Fang now. Sounds dumb. I love it. That's too hilarious. And he just gives Daken a good whack. And he says, I'm going to go easy on you out of respect for your old man, but not too easy. So there's just a cool little way. I wish we could have seen more between these two, because anytime back in the day when Puck and Wolverine would team up, because they're friends from Alpha Flight, it's awesome. But to see the Flight go against two of their own and other characters like Nemesis, you're just wondering what in the hell is going on. And the mutants actually spanked them. And it kind of reminds me, if you guys remember when the Ultimate line ended and then it rebooted as Ultimate Comics X-Men, there was a little hiccup in there. I think it was Brian Wood that wrote it. Brian Woods? I can't remember. Anyway, out of the fallout of Ultimatum, mutants are being hunted down. Kitty leads a resistance force. And I kind of feel like that this is sort of what's going on. Like, it wouldn't, I know it's not, but it wouldn't surprise me, especially with the sword, that was Kitty. But anyway, That's what it reminded me of, and that was a good read. So to kind of see the mutants as kind of the outcast again, it's interesting, but until the whole Krakoan, separatist god complex that they have right now, I don't wanna. Anyway, that said, you come to see that the mutant that was being chased gets, what's his name? He gets betrayed by someone that he cares deeply about. Here we go. Albert Lewis, biomechanical engineer. Lucas Peterson, and that is who this character is. So he kind of goes into hiding, and everyone thought that he was dead at one point in history. Now, you come to find out that the mutants, after what happened at the Hellfire Gala, they can't use the gates. And majority of the mutants are on Mars now. That's kind of where they're stuck. The ones that Alpha Flight were chasing, saying, can you get me there? And North Star's like, we can't. The gates don't work. So we have to work as secretly and carefully as we can. Now, as the book ends, there's a little surprise, which I kind of wish, it's a good way to end the series, or not the series, but the comic itself. You're like, oh, well, how the hell is this going to work? That's interesting. But also, I kind of wish that they would have maybe let the main overarch simmer a little bit, and then with the reveal they did at the end of this issue, maybe 2 or 3 issues in, then you're like, oh, holy crap, that's a twist, instead of right off the bat of the first issue. But you have to have that little hang on to go, oh crap, I'm going to read more. And that's what it's done. I cannot wait to read Alpha Flight issue 2. So again, huge shout out to Juan Reads Comics on TikTok for showing this book and getting me excited to want to read it. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. And if y'all have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is you like to get your comics and action figures, and grab a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Alpha Flight bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.